We'd like to start off with 115 Poplar Avenue. Let's see. I think we went through all of this before,
We have, yes.
and I think if you concentrate just on the revision, we could speed the process.
Okay. The previously approved elevation of the garage at 115 Poplar Avenue.
Mike.
Put your microphone on, please.
Could you put the plan on the,
Oh, yeah, on the table.
and is there a site plan that you have that we could go alongside of that? Thank you. Looking for a
Okay.
pointer?
Can't find the other microphone.
Oh, I don't think there's a handheld.
Let's see, the previously approved garage footprint was 18 by 25, which was approved the last time I was here. Since then, the owner of the property decided to expand the width of the garage from 18 feet to 20 feet. In doing that revision, I kept with the comments given to us from Harb last time and have revised the drawings to reflect that. So this is the latest elevation, which is 4A1.
So all of the elements remain the same. We talked about the window above the garage door. We talked about corner boards.
Pitch of the roof
pitch of
had
the roof.
changed, yeah.
So those remain the same. The footprint got slightly larger, and that's pretty much the extent of what your
Correct.
changes in here for.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we really did approve all the other things. So you had to go through zoning again, I guess, or are going to have to, or
Did.
did?
Yes.
Okay. And were you approved for that?
Approved, yes.
Good, okay.
Yeah. Record time, I think.
Probably, I'm sure.
My only comment was on your elevation, the front elevation.
Yes.
You showed the corner boards, the trim, but on the other detail, on the other two sides, none of the trim or corner boards show.
No, if you recall last time I appeared before Harb, I'm not sure who had mentioned it, but the only concern of Harb at that time was the elevation facing Poplar Avenue. And so we were asked to add all the trim for the elevation that faced Poplar, and it was left at that.
Okay. Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, motion to approve a certificate of appropriateness?
Second?
Approved.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks very much.
Okay. I'd like to call up the next applicant on 417 St. David's Avenue.
Good evening.
Hi.
Correct the record, it's St. David's Road. St. David's Avenue is on the other side
Oh,
of
okay.
Lancaster
Yeah,
Avenue.
right. My mistake.
No problem.
Okay.
My name is Jim Brogan. I'm the owner of the residence, and I live in the residence. I've lived in the residence since 1989 when we purchased it. The goal here is to build a porch, a very traditionally designed porch, and make some corrections to the current architecture of an addition that was added to the house many years ago in order to make it conform to the original architecture of the house. Specifically, what I'm referring to is if you look to the right-hand side of the house, you'll see we're making some changes to the windows of the second floor and the roof. And if you look at the photograph of the house that that is in our application, you'll notice that to my untrained eye, I didn't really realize until a couple of years ago that I always figured there was something a little amiss there, but it took an architect to teach me that really what happened there was with the addition of some trim and some other materials, we could make something that looked rather modern actually fit the original architecture of the house. The porch is a traditional wood deck porch is what we propose. In the materials that you're looking at right now, it was a slab porch with stone face or with a stone deck, but we decided to go instead, and we brought the revisions with us to go with a traditional tongue and groove hardwood floored porch material, not artificial material, but real natural wood. In addition, we're making changes to the current front door of the house. Again, there it's a very traditional 5-pane door with side lights on both sides, made out of solid hardwoods and stained, high quality, one piece, the entire door, side light and transom is a one-piece custom-built door frame designed to enhance the current look of the house and, again, to conform to the intent, as I understand it, to be of the historical nature of the district in which we live. If you want, I'll bring up those copies of the blueprints. You need those, or?
Well, we need to have them shown there.
Pardon me?
We need to have whatever you're revising or bringing in to be shown there.
Yeah.
So this section
This is the one this shows the changes right here, the one I put up here.
Okay. If you go to the section, does that show also where you're cutting through the porch to show how it's built? Has that been changed as well?
Yes, it has, yeah. I'm sorry, this is Steve Deeming, the
Yeah, why don't
architect.
you-
Yeah, sure.
In the application, I described the porch that was intended, which was going to be stone piers and a hardwood porch. The plans were submitted, it was rather hurried, and we submitted them, and that was the original, but it was revised when we submitted the application, which I described in the application, but I didn't revise it until now. You have the revised plan here that Mr. Brogan is showing you, which shows the hardwood deck with the stone piers and the stone steps leading up to the residence. So we had to raise the porch elevation to be flush with the entry door and build it on stone piers because we need plenty of ventilation beneath that deck itself. So that's the difference between what you have in front of you and what's shown on these details right here.
And that section is in that set?
That section is right here, right?
Can we see that as well?
Sure.
Thank you.
You want me to put it on the table, or you want to bring it?
No, just
I'll put it
right
on the table.
right there.
Do we have copies of what this is?
Have you submitted these revisions, or have you just brought them with you? Have you submitted them, or did you just bring the
I
revisions?
just brought them in today. It was described in the application, but it wasn't in the detail on the plans.
Here's additional copies.
There it is. If you look at the detail, it's on the left side of the page. Porch slab detail shows the piers. You can see it there, it's on the left.
Okay. Move up the bottom picture so you can see it on the screen.
There you go. Okay?
Here's another copy.
Oh,
Okay, we need to talk about it here first, but
Sure.
we're gonna need that. this is a mahogany,
It's either
Front
gonna
door.
be, it's one of three hardwood materials that we're gonna price and then make a decision on which way to go.
and that'd be a natural finish, a bright finish on it when it's done?
That would be my preference.
And how about the decking on the porch? Is that a painted finish or?
It'll be probably a stained or an oiled finish.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that's more in keeping as well.
exactly.
Okay.
Now, you went from the slab to the T and G. What was the reason for that?
In my, it was my preference.
preference.
I felt that it was, I thought it was more my idea of what a porch is as opposed to a deck.
The reason I had designed it originally was because we were stepping down and there wasn't any room for ventilation. So when we went with the hardwood, I had to raise it up flush with the floor. I need ventilation on it.
Sure.
You think you'll have room for lattice work or anything under there as a closure?
It's gonna have landscaping in front of it, so really lattice
Talking about-
work would be, yeah, it's gonna be somewhat appropriate because it would all be
Okay.
screened off and any lattice work would probably be subject to, infestation or, rot or whatever, because it's right out on grade, so
Okay.
it's really tight to grade there.
Are the column details similar?
The column details, they're round tapered columns. The balustrade is just a square balustrade with a nice colonial cap.
Simple.
There's nothing original in this idea. We basically looked across the street at our neighbors and admired their porches for
Put it together.
many years and
There's nice porches.
tried to
there.
ignore Mr. Spengler's tri-level house next door to me in the process and go with the traditional across the street.
Well, the original entry pent is kind of underscaled,
It is.
to
It
say
is.
the
It
least.
is, oh,
So,
absolutely.
I think this is a great enhancement to the,
Yes.
to the first floor. Just a couple of clarifications. When you say match trim, are you talking about the original 1920s trim?
We're gonna match the profiles around the original windows, that's
Okay.
correct, on the side. That's correct.
All right.
Just from my own information, the side of the house by the garage, you have the original colonial, and then at right angles, looks like it was part of the original? Or is that one of the added?
By the garage, on
Yeah.
the left-hand side of the house, as you look at it.
As
from
you
the
look at
street?
it, it'll be left-hand side of the house.
Okay, and the question is,
Just, was that part of the original house at one time? 'Cause
if you look at the house from the street, the part of the house that, how can I describe this? Most of what you see is the original house, but the last 22 feet along the left-hand side of the house is an addition that was put on the house about 8 years ago.
And that was the original garage, right? That was a garage.
Well, that was where, not the original garage, but a garage that was built on a drunken weekend in 1952 was. And we tore that garage down, and we built the garage that exists behind the house when we put the addition on. Again, with the 12 by 12 traditional scaling.
Yeah, I'm really talking about that bump out.
The bump out.
If you go down your driveway from the street,
Yeah,
Yes,
the original house faces this way, and then there's, at right angles, there's like an extension. And
oh, like a little porch?
it's part of your house. The roof line is below the roof line of the existing house.
Yeah, that extension is the back addition. Right.
That's
That-
the master.
Oh, that was added.
That was added.
Okay.
That's not part of the original house.
Okay.
That was added about 8 years ago.
Really? Because the trim looks almost like the original house.
Yeah, but it already needs to be replaced. Apparently it was new growth wood, and we're going to have to, replace some of the trim. But we will keep it architecturally the way it is.
That's why God created AZAC.
Well, that and some of our shutters on that side of the house, which gets an extraordinary
Yes.
amount of sun, need to be replaced already.
Yeah, there was a lot of rot on the upper ones.
Yes. And those shutters are only about 7, 8 years old.
Wow.
Was there a mention of a new, like eyebrow window? I forget if I,
Yes, on the, over the right-hand side of the house on the second floor.
It's an eyebrow window picking up the detail of the entry door.
that was
Be a
nice.
standing seam copper roof that we're putting it over that, tie it together. And then that, in addition to replacing the trim around the existing windows, pulls it all together across the front facade.
Because it
If you
looks
look
like,
at the current condition in the materials we submitted to you, you look at the same window, you'll see what I referred to earlier as, it didn't fit architecturally.
Right.
And I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it, so Steve and I
That's
hunkered
good.
down and we figured it out.
It looks like they put the window in and like, how do we cover this cheaply?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you guys look at that eyebrow, like making it a little smaller and flaring the roof line a little bit to get more of an eyebrow out of it, or is this just gonna be a straight barrel that goes
I
in?
mean, that certainly is conceivable to flare the sides. I mean,
That'd be sort of more in,
detail-wise. It's
twenties.
not, yeah.
I mean,
That's not-
it's more expense to do that, but I think that's the pinnacle of that roof line, I mean, it's kind of
Yeah,
a,
I mean, we could certainly do
you're
that.
going to all this trouble to take that pent down and the gable or whatever, and I don't know, I
As
think-
long as it doesn't get out of hand, I mean, I don't mind making that additional investment. One of the
well, I
problems.
just think you should,
Yeah.
I would say just look at it.
Yes,
Right.
I know
'Cause-
exactly what you mean.
Because, if you made the window a little smaller and then flared it, I think it would kind of give it a little bit more scale in a vertical way.
Mhm.
And then I saw you had the AZAC beadboard ceiling in the ceiling
The
of
ceiling of
the
the
porch.
porch, right,
Is that also gonna be in the barrel that goes over,
exactly.
so
That's
it
it.
breaks with a,
And we're gonna have,
Porch
there's
beam.
there's gonna be a beam coming across, the ceiling jumps up, it wraps around and runs up, raises the window
okay.
in the center portion. And that is shown in the detail, it's dotted in on the detail, where it calls radius ceiling line and entry beyond, here's the entry pediment detail.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just didn't know whether that was gonna change the stucco or the beadboard or
Well,
what.
that's the bead board, and it's got, this is a beam that's coming across at the columns, then runs up
Okay.
to the ceiling.
And so on the plans, there's a basement, some basement work which we don't see anything of, right?
No, you know,
Basement work.
I mean, there's some kind of basement
yeah, the
plan.
basement plan is really just part of the overall plan, but that's not for historical purposes.
No, but I mean, there's nothing that, you're not changing an entry or anything that that we'll see.
No,
No.
no.
It looks like you're taking the floor out and,
We're lowering the floor.
We're considering doing that. Believe me, I haven't made a decision that I'm going to spend that money. The incremental benefit of having a man cave doesn't meet the incremental benefit of what we're trying to do here to the front of the house. So,
right.
um,
And then we're not considering any garage work at this time.
That's correct.
correct.
Okay. So if you do the garage work and it requires a permit, it has to come back here.
The permit, I believe, was already issued for the.
The permit was issued for the garage because there's no architectural change in the garage work at all.
Well, there's door,
Other than
They can no change in the footprint,
Took
is
out
what I'm
two
saying.
8-foot doors and put in 12-foot.
Okay.
But there's
Yeah.
no
There's no
gain
change in-
in, no
No,
gain in
the
Footprint
footprint.
is the same. Okay, that's,
So it's,
Yeah.
it's alteration, not a,
Yep, and we're replacing the current wood doors with brand-new,
Same. door.
mahogany, cross-buck doors. My next-door neighbor is getting 2 new doors to improve his garage with my current doors. It's a win-win-win situation.
adaptive reuse.
I'm sorry?
It's adaptive reuse. I like
That's
that.
right.
Yeah.
sustainability.
Sustainability.
Exactly.
Dramatically improving the aesthetics
that.
of the neighborhood,
That's right.
believe me, with respect to the other garage.
Now, how come you had that pool fence segregating that third bay? It's on your photographs.
We all make mistakes. When we are finished with changing the door array, the pool fence will start at the corner of the garage and go directly back to the house. So there'll be no possible opportunity for a dog or a child or whatever to get from the garage into the pool area inadvertently through an open door. And by the way, ever since we had that installed, we disabled the electric garage door opener, and I fixed that third bay because it was very difficult to get a car into that third bay anyways because of its
The way-
proximity to the house.
Right.
So I just gave that up and put some grass down and put a tree there. And,
Makes sense.
yeah. Since we've moved into the house, we've planted over 20 trees on our property. Of course, it took us 21 years to do it all.
Okay.
Any other questions? Motion to approve?
The only thing I have one other thing that we need to draw attention to. In the notes on one of the sheets, there's a line in there that says the owner has the right to change anything anytime he wants, except for the stuff we're talking about tonight.
Sure.
I mean, that's, you know what I mean?
The owner has final approval, obviously subject to your approval.
Well, we have to say that, that's
Sure,
all.
absolutely, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not a problem.
There's one little note in there.
I'm not
that-
planning on
I didn't see
turning.
that.
Singers.
Yeah.
I have to put that in my notes, you know what I mean?
I know, I just want, you have
He's
to bring it
got
out.
final approval.
You're not going to see a disco ball hanging from my porch ceiling.
That would look kind of nice, actually.
Are we going to accept a revision as they brought it as record?
I guess.
And we need copies.
I mean, we're gonna need 7 copies?
We don't need copies.
You can't?
Can't do it. It's approved or not. Again,
No, we can prove it now.
Can we prove that
but
plan,
can you
but
give us
just
some-
he makes the
approve that
copies
plan.
for us?
You can recommend that he makes those changes. Whether he deems to do it or not is the appropriateness.
But what I guess I'm confused about is that I think the plans he brought tonight are the
Or
revisions.
the revisions. So he needs to submit then to the township a new copy to go into the folder.
Of those revisions.
As approved of what's
Well,
on TV.
we can recommend approval of those,
Yes, correct.
which is what we're doing, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yes,
Right.
as seen on TV.
And I guess, can we have a copy for my own records too, or?
We'll put a copy in our file in the blue folder there that will go on record for the township,
Okay.
all right?
We have no objection to providing the members with their own copies.
Whatever.
We can ask that there be 5 new copies or 7 new copies
And I can
of
drop
that
them
approved
off, that's
plan.
fine.
I'm just, to keep my records straight, but,
It's a paperwork
I
thing.
understand. Fine, I can drop off
Yeah.
extra copies. That's
All right,
fine.
and then the 2 that.
The 2 that you have here,
that
and I
we
can
need
bring
then
5
for
more.
building
That's fine.
permits, correct.
That's fine.
Fair enough.
good.
Motion to approve the revised drawings.
Make a motion.
Motion?
Second.
No? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
You
Give it to them. Yeah.
You get the plans, or do you get the plans? You get,
Why don't you submit them all together for me?
you want all 7 at once, you don't want 2
Do
now?
7 at once, and then 2 along with the building permit.
Okay.
Then I'll redo the paperwork, and I'll put, make sure everybody gets a copy. Copy goes in a folder, and the 2 that we need for our building.
Oh, Mr. Brogan? Should you have to revise that porch because of zoning matters
Yeah.
that may be going on right now, you will have to submit again.
Okay.
That's if you change the porch footprint or change it dramatically.
I mean, the only thing that's possibly contemplated is, rather than the porch being
10 feet?
10 feet deep, it might turn out to be 9 feet. Otherwise, it'll be completely the same.
It's the same.
But, you know,
This was based on a discussion I had today with Dan Malloy.
with respect to
With
impervious
respect to
consideration.
impervious, so I had to
Yeah.
reduce the porch depth by a foot,
Okay, so it's a reduction, not.
that's all.
Yeah.
But it's not changing anything, all the details are the same.
Okay, well, that's on public record then.
Yeah.
Mhm,
That's right,
Yeah,
that's
Mhm.
correct.
mhm.
And by the way, Steve, thanks for the cover page with the keyed. Nobody does that, so
That's
I
great.
just wanted to thank you for that.
Yeah, I ran into Mr. Malloy at your house, as a matter of fact, this morning.
Oh, okay.
So he told me about what was going
Yeah, we're
on.
going to
and-
reduce the size of the driveway.
Yeah.
And the size of the porch, and make a couple other modifications to the impervious
We need to
impediment on the property so
I
that
think
we
we
don't
need to-
have to get a zoning variance.
just talk about Harb stuff and just convene this.
Right.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because at that point, he wasn't sure what was going to happen, whether you were going to appeal or, did he feel that was the solution?
Yes.
We got a letter from him today
Okay,
confirming that, so that there's a.
all right. So as a matter of public record, you are reducing
That's correct.
the porch width by about a foot
Depth.
in depth, right,
Depth, by 1 foot straight across.
Right.
Okay, consistent.
all else to remain the same,
Always remains.
Yes,
so,
fair question.
okay. So in that regard, do we all agree that the changes would be okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
Right.
your time.
Thank you.
Yep.
Right. Okay, any old business? Any new business? Then the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.